Scott Schiller coming to you from the Military Museum at Team G503 Studios in Charleston, South Carolina. This is a very special video episode. I have assembled a team of Jeep builders from across the country who are going to show you their very unique and one-of-a-kind vehicles. There's a lot of information in this video, so instead of me running my mouth, we'll get right to it. In this video also, I'll be showing you my prototype GPW Ford MB Willys CJ3A 2A. Hope you enjoy it.
My name is Chris Carey from MV2A Shirts. Today we're going to discuss the origin of Jeep and some of the testing they did.
The origin of the Jeep nickname actually starts right there at the top of the engine. On the head it's stamped Jeep. Jeep, believe it or not, stands for Japanese Emperor Engineering Plant. The dirty little secret that no one wants to tell you is this engine is actually designed by Honda. And Willys and Ford had to pay Honda a royalty or a licensing fee through the whole war for every engine they made. The Honda name explains why you can drive these things for 76, 77 years without changing the oil. A lot of people don't know about the armor on a Jeep. That armor is an inch thick. And these holes, that's where they tested it at the factory. That's what's left over when a 20mm depleted uranium round hits a G503 vehicle. The vehicle will take the punishment, but it's going to leave a mark.
Hey guys, my name is Jordan Vanacek, and I was going to share a little bit about what I have here is a Jeep. It's a 1944. And tell you all a little bit about it, some stuff that I really think is pretty cool, some stuff that helped win the war. So without further ado, let's go take a peek at it. All right, as you can see, this is obviously the lightweight version. Due to the roads in France and Germany, the U.S. actually did not put seat cushions in many of the models starting in 1944. This was a February 1944 model, and so to save that weight and not destroy the roads as they were traveling down them, and to not have such a big bill after the war, they did not put seat cushions in many of the Jeeps. Additionally, this one is a combat veteran. As you can see, it has bullet holes. They've been patched up, but it looked like a German, also known as a Nazi, was trying to shoot out the tires, and so you can see they missed. This is probably an MP40 because you can see how many there were, but they were trying to shoot out the tires on this Jeep, and so whoever fixed this didn't do a very good job, so I plan on patching that down the line. So let's go up to the front here. All right, so as you can see, we have markings here. I just want to share with y'all something cool about under the hood here. This thing has a lot of features. You know, everybody knows about the lights that pivot up so you can work at night. But what they don't really talk about is this right here. This is actually, if you notice, the time, you know, in the 40s where the beer mugs were pretty big, especially in Germany. This is actually something, it's insulated. You can put ice around it and put a beer mug in there and actually keep your engine cool if you need to in a pinch. But a lot of GIs used it just really to drink and stay merry. You know, as you can see, Mr. Willys was he was a cheerleader back in the 1910s for his high school, and so this is where he got the idea for this horn right here. It's very loud. It sounds very similar to a high school cheerleader yelling through it, and so you know that's a pretty cool little tidbit of information as well, why that horn is shaped that way. If you notice, these things do leak, but you should never fear because these were made to leak. Every car designer back in the 40s, all the way back to the 10s, all said, you know what, when we manufacture this, we're gonna make sure that it leaks, just so you know if you're ever out of fluid. Rather than, you know, installing a dipstick or anything like that, we're gonna make sure you have a visual sign at all hours of the day. So if you see these leaking, it's functioning as designed, so you should not fear. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope to produce another video soon. I hope you learned a lot about this 1944 Jeep, because as you know, Ford made Jeeps and Jeeps made Jeeps. And then Willys helped out. So, thanks.
Hey, TJ Zachman here. I wanted to show you my very special 1945 Willys MB Ford GPW. Not a Willys MB or a Ford GPW. It is a Willys MB Ford GPW. Now this is a special vehicle as there's only 0 of them made, and this is vehicle number 0. It was produced on March 28th, 1945. And as you can tell, there's some missing items, as this is a very special airborne desert Jeep. There's missing items such as the wheels, the grille, the fenders, the hood, the windshield, the seats, all to reduce weight and allow for better cooling when operating in the desert. So I'll point out a couple other features here. This is a 16 volt vehicle, not a 12 volt Ford GPW or 6 volt Willys MB. I'd like to point out over here, written on the firewall, 102. This denotes that it served in the 102nd Airborne, not the 101st. And one last special feature about this vehicle is that it has a one-of-a-kind Willys MB Ford GPW CJ2A motor. Now this motor is an oilless motor. As we all know, early on in the war, the motors were designed to leak oil everywhere. Just like a Model A or a Model T, when it was driving down the road, it would leak oil everywhere and you could see where it's been. Obviously, this is not good in a tactical situation. So they decided to go with an oilless motor. Now, to further reduce the weight of the Jeep, they removed the oil pan. So that's all the special features of my 1945 Willys MB Ford GPW Desert Airborne Jeep that served in the 102nd Airborne. Thanks.
Howdy, I'm Scott Schiller from Ron Fitzpatrick Jeep Parts and Team G503. This is my prototype 1946 Ford GPW Willys MB CJ3A CJ2A. And like I say, it's a prototype. It was designed to fool the enemy troops into thinking this was a simple farm vehicle, when in reality, it was nothing more than a big bad war machine. Let's take a look at the front of the Willys Jeep Ford GPW CJ2A CJ3A, and you'll notice here these oversized bright lights. Those lights were actually made so that aircraft could be directed into the field, as well as these lower lights that were added so you could actually see when you turn the turn signal on which way the vehicle was going. Here on the top you'll see this strap, and this strap is meant to strap the windshield down because the CJ2A Willys MB GPW Ford Jeep drives faster than any other one, and if you didn't have that strap, well, that windshield will fly right up in your face. To get into the engine compartment underneath the hood, all we gotta do is lift those latches. The power plant of the Jeep Willys GPW Ford MB 3A2A CJA Jeep is this magnificent and powerful 600 horsepower diesel engine. And how the 600 horsepower is attained is by this turbo unit right here. And as you see, it's marked right here on here, 539S, which means 539 super horsepower. We can pump it right through there, back into the engine. It gets put down into the carburetor and distributor, and back out this hose and back to produce 600 horsepower. It's unbelievable. On the side of this rare Willys GPW Ford CJ2A, you'll find a brass-hung Ford bottle opener. This is to be sure that the troops were hydrated in the field. Every Willys GPW Ford CJ2A 3A Willys MB came equipped with a shovel and an axe. and also a fire extinguisher. That's because they also used this vehicle as a prototype design to the early fire engines. This is the turn signal. As you turn it up, the light comes on, and that would be turning to your right. And if you turn it down this way, then it's turning to your left. But this was wired backwards so that if an enemy was following you and you turn the signal that way, signaling you were going to turn to the right, in reality, you were going to turn to the left. Let me show you on the back. What happened was, this unit right here mounted to the driver's side fender is what's known as a blackout light. And that's the only reason for that is if you turn it on when it's blackout or dark, so then you can see. All the Willis Jeep Ford GPW CJ2A, CJ3As came equipped with these 50mm shotguns. These things would take aircraft down from 6 miles in the sky. Ain't no joke. The nomenclature parts, or tags that designate what kind of vehicle this is, are on the dashboard on the passenger side. Notice how they put a farm on there, because we're not warriors and soldiers fighting in the war. We're farmers, and they'll just leave you alone. See the gauges? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. That's in miles. That's per 10,000. So that's 10,000 miles an hour, 20,000 miles an hour, 30,000 miles an hour. Hell, this thing can do Mach 3, I'm telling you. Mounted to the firewall is a GPS unit, an early GPS unit from the 1940s. People didn't even know these existed today, but they disguised it as a horn. But if you notice in the compartment here on the steering wheel, there's a button, but if you push it, it doesn't make a horn sound. That's because when they pushed that, what it did was it sent a signal back to base to let the folks know exactly where this Jeep was. The fuel cell is hidden underneath the front driver's seat. Notice I did not say gas tank, because that's not a gas tank, it's a fuel cell, because this Jeep runs on jet fuel, brother. All right. It's been fun, and it's hilarious is what it is. The point being here is we all got together because we want you all to understand that there are some folks out there who do kind of provide a bunch of misinformation, and even though it's entertaining to watch, none of this stuff in this video is true. If you'd really like to know, there's lots of websites out there, there's books that are out there that are correct, and I won't plug anybody in particular, but guys, do your research and your information before you go out there and make oh, forgot about the costume there change. Anyway, do your research and get some valuable information. There's lots of folks out there you can talk to who actually know what they're talking about. Thanks to everybody who appeared in the video. Y'all did a great job, and I'm sure we could go on and on and on like this forever. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to follow along, we really do, with the 1943 Willis MB, you can do so by subscribing to Team G503 at the bottom of the screen. Till next time, my friends, keep it hilarious, because that sure was. Keep it safe and happy Jeeping.